Welcome to the All About English podcast. I'm James.
And I'm Grace. This is the place to grow your English skills, no matter what level.
Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you never miss an episode. We post daily. You don't want to miss out.
All right, so let me ask you something. Have you ever felt totally stuck in a conversation, like you just couldn't find the words and boom, it turned into this super awkward moment?
Oh yeah, I think we've all been there. It's like your brain just freezes and you're left staring at the other person like you're buffering or something.
Exactly. And for English learners, I feel like that fear of making a mistake is, well, it's one of the biggest hurdles. You know, worrying about grammar or saying the wrong thing can really hold people back from, like, even trying.
Absolutely. And then there's the whole vocabulary issue, right? Not knowing the exact word for something and panicking because you're afraid the other person won't understand you.
Right. But here's the thing. Messing up is totally normal. Like, actually, it's part of the process. I remember this one time. I was in Paris trying to, practice my conversational English with a group of travelers. It was supposed to be casual, right? But I got so nervous, I actually said, "Nice to be you," instead of "Nice to meet you."
Oh man, that is gold. What happened next?
Well, they laughed, obviously. But then one of them said, "Don't worry, you're doing great." And honestly, that little moment made me realize something. It wasn't about being perfect. It was about connecting. Once I stopped worrying about mistakes, it became so much easier to speak up.
That's such a good point. And I think it's important for learners to remember that native speakers aren't expecting perfection either. Most of the time, they'll be patient and even helpful.
Totally. And there are so many tools now to help you build confidence, right? Like practicing with native speakers on apps or joining language exchange groups. I mean, those things are game changers.
Yeah, and even something as simple as watching TV shows or listening to podcasts in English can help you pick up phrases and get used to how the language sounds in, real situations.
Exactly. It's all about little steps. Like, you're not going to be fluent overnight, but every small effort gets you closer. And hey, who cares if you say meet instead of meet once in a while, right?
For sure. The more you put yourself out there, the easier it gets. And honestly, sometimes those funny mistakes make the best stories later.
So true. All right, so now that we've tackled those fears, like mistakes and vocabulary issues, I think it's time we dive into something super practical. Okay, so now that we've unpacked the whole fear of mistakes thing, let's shift gears and talk about what you can actually do in those everyday conversations to feel more confident. Sound good?
Yeah, totally. I mean, starting with the basics like ordering food or asking for directions, right? Those are like core survival skills.
Exactly. And think about this. When you're at a restaurant, being able to say, "I'd like a burger, please," or "Can I get the check?" It's a small thing, but it builds so much confidence.
Oh, and it's not just restaurants. Grocery shopping is another great example, like asking where to find something or even figuring out the labels. Speaking of which, I actually had a bit of a situation once.
Ooh, tell me, what happened?
So I was in a store looking for basil, right? But for some reason, I mixed up the words and asked for diesel. Yeah, like the fuel.
Wait, what? Diesel?
Yep. The store clerk just froze for a second and then started laughing. I was standing there like, did I say something weird? And then he's like, "We don't sell diesel here?" Took me a solid minute to realize what I'd said.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. But honestly, that's a perfect example of how mistakes can turn into learning moments, right?
Yeah, for sure. Once I got past the embarrassment, it actually helped me remember the right word. And now I laugh every time I see basil. Win-win.
See? This is why practicing in real-life situations is so powerful. And it's not just the basics either. Like, what about specialized scenarios, like at work or even at a doctor's office?
Absolutely. Workplace communication is huge. Figuring out how to speak up in meetings or answering customer questions. And medical appointments, that's a whole other level of vocabulary you might need.
Right. I mean, knowing how to say, "I think I'm allergic to this," or "I have a headache," it's not just useful, it's crucial.
Totally. And once you've tackled these real-life scenarios, the confidence boost is just massive. It really sets you up for success.
So we've explored how real-life tasks like grocery shopping or medical visits can boost your confidence. But you know what really takes things to the next level? Actually talking to native speakers. Those conversations are where the magic happens, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think what makes it so effective is, well, you're not just learning the language, you're really feeling it, picking up on how phrases are used naturally.
Exactly. I mean, this one time, I was traveling and ended up chatting with this bartender in London. At first, I was so nervous. But as the conversation went on, I realized how patient he was, you know? Like, he didn't care if I stumbled over a word here or there.
And that's the thing. Native speakers are usually way more understanding than we think. They get that you're learning, and most of the time they're happy to help. And I bet that bartender boosted your confidence a ton, huh?
Oh, for sure. By the end of it, I was throwing around phrases like cheers and brilliant like a local. It was so much fun. And honestly, it just made me want to keep talking.
Yeah, and the cool part is, it works both ways. You learn, and they get to hear their language from a fresh perspective. It's kind of like this exchange that benefits both sides.
Totally. And I feel like conversations with native speakers kind of teach you things that no textbook ever could, you know? Like slang, expressions, even tone.
Yeah, and media plays such a big role in that too. Watching movies or binging some good old Netflix really helps. I mean, hearing how people actually talk in different accents and situations is just priceless.
Oh, for sure. I remember watching this show. It was all about life in New York, and their slang? Wild. But now I can actually recognize phrases like, what's the tea? Or on point. It makes interacting so much more fun.
What's the tea? That's such a classic. And honestly, even listening to podcasts like this one helps. Hearing casual, everyday conversations makes everything feel, I don't know, way more approachable.
Absolutely. And you start realizing that English isn't just about memorizing words. It's about kinda living the language, right?
Exactly. And every little interaction, whether it's chatting with a bartender like you did or just asking for directions, it all adds up.
So, talking with native speakers really does make the language come alive, doesn't it? Let's recap some of the highlights because we've covered so much ground.
Yeah, like starting with the whole fear of mistakes thing. I think that was such a big one to tackle right out of the gate.
Totally. I mean, mistakes, they're not the end of the world. They're actually kind of the opposite. They're like the gateway to progress.
Exactly. And from there, we got into those real life scenarios like grocery shopping, ordering food, and me asking for diesel instead of basil.
Oh my gosh, yes, that's got to be my favorite moment. But seriously, it just shows how even the funniest errors can turn into lessons you never forget.
For sure. And those specialized scenarios we talked about, like workplace or medical conversations, that's where, targeted practice really pays off.
Exactly. Because let's face it, those are situations where you want to feel prepared, you know?
Absolutely. And then the big takeaway, real conversations with native speakers, I mean, that's the game changer.
Oh, for sure. Because it's not just practice. It's like this whole immersive experience. You're learning vocabulary, tone, rhythm, even slang.
Yeah, and it's not just about learning, it's about connecting, right? Feeling confident enough to jump into those moments and just enjoy the interaction.
Exactly. So whether it's owning your mistakes, diving into real-life scenarios, or chatting with native speakers, it's all about little wins that stack up over time.
Right, and the more you put yourself out there, the more natural it all becomes.
And you know, James, just thinking about everything we've unpacked, mistakes, navigating all those real-life scenarios, and diving straight into conversations with native speakers, I can't help but feel like these are game-changing steps.
Yeah, and I think the big takeaway here is that every little interaction matters. Whether it's asking for directions, joining a meeting, or even just saying, what's the tea? It's all about jumping in and giving it a shot, right?
Exactly. And honestly, I mean, you've got this. So, we want to hear from you. What's your funniest or most memorable moment learning English? Maybe you've got a diesel instead of basil story. Share it with us in the comments.
For real, we'd love to hear your experiences. And hey, if you've got questions or topics you want us to dive into, don't be shy. Let us know, and we'll make it happen.
Oh, and don't forget, we've got our next episode coming up, our daily routines. Trust me, you won't want to miss it.
Yeah, it's going to be packed with practical tips you can start using right away. So stay tuned.
All right, that's it for today, folks. Keep practicing, stay confident, and remember, progress, not perfection.
Exactly. On that note, we'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye, everyone.